What's going on, everyone? Dottz here, and today I have a Q&A video for you guys. So for those of you who do not know what this video is, this is a monthly series that I do where I take questions from you guys, the community, and we answer them here in a video. They might be related to ESO, World of Warcraft, just gaming in general, nothing related to gaming, maybe just like, personal questions and stuff, but I try to take those and answer them here in this video. Huge shout out to Ida for funding the series up until this point. Right now, this is probably going to be the last one related to ESO since I am kind of changing my content direction a little bit. So moving forward, any future Q&As that we might do are probably going to be related towards either World of Warcraft or just general gaming questions, or maybe, like I said, any personal questions if people have them. So without further ado, guys, let's move right into this one with our first question being related to potions in ESO, with Jack Stovall saying another potion I like for PvP but are way too expensive to run is minor heroism pots. Do you have any recommendations on what to do about this? And the issue with these potions, and the reason why they are so expensive, is because minor heroism is an amazing buff. If minor heroism wasn't so good, the potion wouldn't be that expensive. It's also tied to ingredients that do give potions really, really good effects. So unfortunately, there's really no way to mitigate that cost besides just making the money required to run them. You could potentially get, if you really feel you need more alt gen, you could always try running a Nord. You could try running minor heroism from a skill or maybe a set, which I wouldn't recommend too much, but you could if you desperately feel that you need it. But if you really want to run those potions, unfortunately, the only answer is to get the money to run the potions or just use them in maybe more niche situations. I personally don't like doing this, but what's an option is that you can have two different types of potions, the heroism pots and then your, let's say regular tri-stat pots, and you can basically switch your potions between the two depending on which situation you feel that you need them in. So that's also an option if you don't want to just burn through those potions all the time on cooldown. So the next question is not related to gaming at all, but is related to it's a personal question. So from Wolvie808 over on Twitch, tell us how you maintain your beard, oils and all, give us the details. So my personal routine, I have a bunch of different products that I use. When I'm in the shower, I have a beard conditioner I'll use every day. I have a beard shampoo that I'll use every couple days, just because you don't want to dry out your hair. And then typically what I'll do is after I shower after I shower and let's say I'm not going anywhere, I'll put beard oil on just so it helps hydrate everything, the skin, helps keep the hair healthy. But if let's say I'm going to go somewhere, I'll use a beard lotion just because it gives good hydration as well, but it doesn't leave my face looking all oily after I put it on. So I'd rather use that before I go somewhere. If my hair is particularly long, I do have naturally curly hair, so if I do feel that I need to style it, I have a beard, like a balm pomade type thing that I will use to help kind of style it. And the final thing that I use actually is something that people will use to make their eyelashes look fuller. That product, that type of thing, I totally forget what it's called, but my wife got it for me. It was actually her idea, where I have a couple of really small patches in between where my mustache is and where the rest of my beard is, that the hair there is a little bit lighter. So if I'm going to a bigger event and I want to make sure that the beard looks as full as possible, I'll actually take that and use it to fill out that little bit of blank space so that it just looks fuller and it looks better. But I'll use that a little bit more sparingly. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I use and all the details behind the care routine for that. So the next question is from that homie Nano back on Twitch. What dummy do I use for a proper DPS parse? So it used to be the 6 mil, that used to be the gold standard, but nowadays everybody does use the Iron Atronach, the one that gives you all the different raid buffs and stuff while you're parsing. That is typically the gold standard that people use nowadays for DPS parsing. The other ones you can use if you feel that you need to use them, but nowadays, if you're doing a PvE parse, there really isn't a reason to not use the big Iron Atronach. You can get target dummies from your house from a lot of different ways. Yeah, crowns, quests, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. If you just Google target dummies, you can find all the different ways to get them. But I believe the Iron Atronach one, unfortunately, is from Crown, so that is going to be the one that you have to use. Now, a question I'm getting is which target dummies do I have in my house? I pretty much have all of them. Any target dummy, you can have, I have the raid dummy, the 3 mil, the 6 mil, and the Iron Atro. So whatever you feel that you need to use, you can go ahead and do so. I actually don't know. This is a good question. Someone said, what's the etiquette if multiple people need to use the target dummy at once? I would assume that you could just, if there's only one house available, you could just switch back and forth. But if you really need the target dummy like now, the best one will be able to do is to have it at your own house. In terms of what numbers do you want, look, every guild is going to have their own, you know, requirements for DPSing. They're going to have their own requirements for what they want people to bring to a raid. But at least in my opinion, your DPS, and I know some people might think this is really low, I think for vet trials, assuming you're not doing like, you know, score pushing or plus runs, you should be able to pull at least 60k on the Iron Atronach. Any lower than that is going to be way too low in my opinion. If you can pull out this 60k on the Iron Atronach, you're going to be okay. But once you start going for maybe like those plus runs and, you know, starting to go into like hard modes and stuff, getting more towards that 70k is going to be a bit more desirable. And then if you're going to do score running and score pushing, the numbers are just going to be even higher. But again, just depends on the guild type that you go into. When I run trials, I just go for completion. I don't really care about my score. So those are typically what me and my group looks for in terms of a DPS parse. The next question is from Nikki P, also on Twitch. Hey, Dottz, any advice on Undaunted keys? I have 10 of them and don't know what to spend them on. Well, man, that is going to depend a ton on what you're looking for from your monster sets. What I would recommend that you do is, you know, what's your class and what's your role, and go look up builds over on my website, dottsgaming.com, and take a look at what monster helms are used in those builds, and then go for those. There's a lot of different helms in the game. A lot of them are pretty bad. Especially now ever since Zoss, you know, changed them all to be the way they are. So I would definitely go peruse some builds, see the most commonly used monster sets, and then you could start collecting those. The next question is going to be rally versus forward momentum, which is better and why? Well, that totally depends on your build. I say in general now, especially with how shit healing is, rally's probably going to be your better bet. But, I mean, obviously, if you do not have a root break, but you have plenty of healing from the rest of your kit, you're going to want to go with forward momentum. But if you're in medium armor, I would just recommend using shuffle and rally. I definitely think it is the superior way to go, especially because major evasion is such a strong defensive buff. Might be a little bit less strong going into Stonethorn with all the AoE changes, but we'll have to kind of see how things evolve there. But in general, I really do recommend rally and trying to get a root break from somewhere else. But if you absolutely can't and do have enough healing in the rest of your kit, forward momentum is going to be the way to go. The next question is from Jokin57. What would you like to see next year for ESO after the Greymore DLC? That is a really good question. I actually haven't really thought about it all that much. I don't know. I have always wanted to see, especially, okay, I'll take a stab at this. My first Elder Scrolls game was Oblivion. And so I am very partial to Cyrodiil. I love Cyrodiil as a zone. I loved that game. Like, it was such a good game. So I would love to see some more love given to Cyrodiil, whether or not it actually be a PvE area related to Cyrodiil or just a revitalization of the PvP area. I just think that Zoss could get really like have a good time and have a good experience messing with Cyrodiil, and you could do an expansion related to that, and have, like I said, you could create a separate PvE zone off of Cyrodiil, have quests and stuff maybe related to the Alliance War and the progression of that within the actual ESO universe, give things related to it, give extra bonuses if you go out in PvP. There's a lot of cool integrations that they could do there, and especially with them trying, emphasis on trying, to work on Cyrodiil in some capacity. I think it could be a really cool way, and it'd be cool to see them actually maybe trying to prep Cyrodiil for some future expansions. Obviously, like I know people are probably like, PvE and Cyrodiil, meh. I'm not saying it has to be in the Cyrodiil zone itself, but some PvE area related to it, I think could be really cool, you know, because you're going to need obviously PvE content for people to come into Cyrodiil. But I don't know. I think it could be interesting to see what ideas and what they could do with that. They could even just make a separate instance that just has separate quests and stuff, and then you have to go into the PvP campaign in order to actually PvP. I don't know. I would just like to see more related to Imperials and Cyrodiil, just obviously because I that was my first ever like test experience, so I'm obviously very partial to it. I know I just kind of rambled and I just kind of pulled that off the top of my head, but if I had to pick something immediately, that's what I would pick. The next question is Odessa Swan. How many points do you put into penetration wearing New Moon? That's going to depend on a lot of different factors. Depends on if you're using a maul. It depends on the rest of your build. It just depends on a lot of different things. But I mean, typically speaking, when I play Stam, like typically speaking, when I play in general, I try to have my effective penetration be anywhere between 10 and 15k, depending on what build I'm in. So if you want to, you can go look on my website at some of the different builds that do have new Moon Acolyte. You can take a look at how many points I put into pen. Penetration is such a strong stat for effective damage. So I would really recommend taking a look at some of my builds or some other people's builds and just taking a look at how many points people roughly put into pen. And, you know, people are going to have a lot of, it's going to vary depending on your goal, you know, or a lot of the rest of your build. And if you're using a maul, if you're using a sword, it's just going to depend on a lot of different things. So can't really give a catch-all answer to that one. But the next question is, what classes make the best use of New Moon and what is the goal? So New Moon is typically, it's a PvP set. People can use it in PvE if they do want to push that extra damage. But for the most part, crit's going to be a little bit more efficient in PvE. So for the most part, it's a PvP set, and pretty much a lot of different classes can take advantage of it. I don't recommend certain Magicka classes or classes in general that have bad sustain shouldn't use New Moon, but if your class is good sustain and you can sustain wearing New Moon, it's definitely an amazing set to run. There's a reason that so many people use it. The next question is taken from an in-game guild chat. For Magicka Templar, should I use a lightning staff main bar for the 8% increased damage to my jabs, or does those count as single target? Oh, man. I have gotten this question so much. Oh, my God. So, yes, guys, Magicka Templar does take advantage of the lightning staff for increasing jabs damage. Jabs is an AoE skill, okay? Keep that in mind, because like if two people are standing in the way of your jabs, they're going to all be hit by it. It's not like jabs only affects one person, like something like Burning Embers. Jabs will affect multiple people, therefore it is buffed by lightning staff. I keep getting asked about that. People keep going, why do you take lightning? Why do you take lightning? That is why I take it. The next question is, what have you taken from one game that has helped you in another? Because somebody in my chat said that I adopted a lot of the mannerisms from my old Black Desert Online guild leader. That was one thing that I really, really learned from playing BDO. By the way, huge shout out to the guild that I played with in BDO, Intrinsic Quality. I had a great time playing with them. I'm not really playing as much BDO right now. I did get a bit burnt out on the game when I got to that really like exponential point where gear started to take forever in order to acquire, but I met a really, really good group of people when I started playing Black Desert, and it made the entire experience really enjoyable. So huge shout out to them. And yes, this guy, his name is Blue, was my guild leader, and one thing that I definitely learned from him was how the F to keep people in line, because typically when I have led guild groups in the past, whether they be for PvP or PvE, I've always taken a softer approach because I didn't want to like always call people out. I didn't want to put people on the spot if they were doing something wrong. I didn't want people to feel bad. But because of that, I did feel that sometimes people would just, when I'd be like, hey, maybe you guys should stop doing X stupid thing, people would just keep doing it because they're like, whatever, you know, I'm not, you know, being told specifically to stop, so fuck it, man, I'll just keep doing it and everyone else can stop. And I do feel that our groups, both for PvP and PvE, started to run a lot smoother when I definitely took a more direct approach at when we were making mistakes. And the guild leader that I had from BDO, he had a lot of funny things that he said whenever he led, and I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of steal some of those phrases, just to make the whole calling process a bit more fun, a bit funnier, and just put a little comedic twist on it. But yeah, that was one big thing I took from BDO, was how to be a better shot caller and how to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but have like a little bit more of an edge when I am chastising people for doing things that they're not supposed to do. The next question, I was hoping you would explain, this was on my how to use 2 weapon bars. I was hoping you would explain the actual bars, because I often wonder if front bar has priority over back bar, or are there other unknown to me reasons for always using the front bar for most of your fighting skills? I've heard some folks saying never stay on the back bar nor fight from the back bar, or ever put the same weapons on both bars and stuff like that, which makes me think the bars are not equal in some way. Or is it due to the actual skills you put on the bar and the bars are equal until the skills are put onto them. So the quick and dirty version to answer this question is, it just has to do with how people think about their skill bars. There's no difference. If you want to make your back bar, your primary bar, your fighting bar, you can do that. But I think with most people, the way that they think about it is like, when I'm on my front bar, I'm charging in, I'm doing my damage. But if I need to fall back, if I need to play defensive, I swap to my back bar and play defensive on that bar. I think it's almost more of like a mental thing, you know? It's almost like just how people think about it in terms of their own brain, where it's like, it makes sense for my front bar to be my primary bar, my back bar, or a quote-unquote secondary bar to be my more utility defensive bar. They actually do make no difference. If you want to make your front bar your utility bar and your back bar your damage bar, you can do that. The bar positions don't make a difference, okay? It's just a matter of preference. In terms of weapons, the same weapon on both bars, that just depends. From a PvP perspective, you typically like to use 2 different weapons so that you can utilize 2 different sets of passives. But from a PvE perspective, you'll still have DPS use double, especially Magicka DPS. You'll still have them use double Destruction Staff just because, you know, they're not going to need a Resto Staff for PvE, and there's no other Magicka weapon, so they'll use double Destruction Staff. But typically, you'll see people use 2 different types of weapons on the different bars, just simply because you can get more passives that way and get access to a greater array of skills. But guys, that is going to be it for today's Q&A video. I think I hit everything. I know on a couple of the questions I rambled a little bit, but there was some good questions that came from the YouTube comments and from Twitch chat that I missed, that were definitely some ones I needed to think about a little bit. And I didn't really have an answer right on the top of my head, so kind of was trying to live think about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, found this fun to watch. If you did like it, please smack a like on it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. And like I said, guys, let me know if you are going to still be watching some of my WoW content. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like to see from it. I really would like to see your guys' feedback. And of course, guys, subscribe to keep up to date with the rest of the gaming content I have here on my channel. So thank you all so much for stopping by. I very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dottz Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.